On today's video, we're starting a series of tests of Ramesses the First. That is right, this is the first of a few videos to come testing Ramesses in depth. We picked a bunch of different types of commanders and troops and everything along the way to test him out. And in this video, we're gonna go through one of those sets of tests. We're gonna have a bunch more of these coming out. So if you want to see Ramesses in action, some very interesting results, and you want to have a say on what kinds of tests happen, as well as what kind of results you're looking for, this video is for you. So sit back, drop a like on the video. Hey there YouTube, welcome back to Gekko Gaming. So this is the first video of a series of videos that are gonna come out with tests of Ramesses II. Now, I could have done one massive video, but I'll lose half of your attentions about 10% into it, honestly. I'd like to make a few shorter videos of all the tests so you guys get to see all the footage, all the reports, and everything we learned along the way. If you enjoy this content, make sure you're dropping a like on the video. I'm a sponsored content creator by Rise of Kingdoms. And if you want to make sure you do not miss out on any of the videos about Ramesses, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that bell. Did you know 56% of you haven't done it yet? What are you waiting for? So we split this up into a bunch of different videos just to make it a little bit easier for you to follow. In this video, Ramesses is going to go up against a pair that is a fairly common pair that exists in the game. It's been there for a while, and these commanders are very useful and versatile in game still. We tested him against infantry. Yes, I know that he's supposed to counter infantry. We got amazing results. You'll see that in the video in a moment. Charles Martel and Richard going up against Ramesses and a bunch of other commanders. To top it off, we also did some tests with Edward Tamaris and Edward Yi, which were the other predominant archer pair, to see the differences between these marches. Let's start really quickly by going over Ramesses and give you guys all the information you need to know before the tests. That way we can run through the tests. So Ramesses is a archer versatility attack commander. His skills are Ceremony of Karnak, deals continuous damage to a single target, 1000 damage factor, and reducing the target's defense by 30% for 2 seconds, so damage factor of 2000 total. And the target cannot receive any healing for 2 seconds. That is the expertise of this man right here. It's why you're here, to see what happens when you reduce healing for 2 seconds. The next skill increases lead archery units attack by 40% while on the map. The third skill, while armies are only archers, decrease skill damage taken by 30%. And then there's a 10% chance when attacked to increase the lead troops attack by 40% and their march speed by 40% for 3 seconds. Which means every turn when you're getting attacked, there's a chance for you to get that to proc. And there's a 10% chance when you do normal attacks to heal slightly wounded troops all the way up to 500 healing factor, and increase the troops' defense by 40% for 3 seconds. The talent tree we rocked was this one right here. It's a full archer's tree. And on this side, we went full, and 2 points in here. I'm going quickly through this because I rather focus on the tests. You guys can always stop the video at any time, go back, go in game, see what this means. But this is the tree we had. And I want to keep you guys notice on one thing. 2 skills right here have a 10% chance of stuff happening, including archer attack bonus, march speed, which is useless for us in this stage, and healing plus defense bonus. 10% chance of that happening. 1 when getting attacked and 1 when attacking, which means you could, in theory, end up with both in the same round. Now, let's go look at the equipment I was rocking. That equipment is currently on Yi because we're hunting barbarians. It is Lost Kingdom time. So this is the gear right here. And in this first set of tests, you're going to see some very interesting things, but we also missed out on a few things that I refined further in the next video. So this is the gear we were rocking right here. And Charles Martel, who was on this video the whole time, the leading commander, was rocking that gear right there. Equipment, whatever you want to call it, sure. With all that being said, let's go look at the first set of tests and we'll talk about what you see there, then go look at the report right after it. So this first test, what you're seeing is a Charles Martel and Richard versus Ramesses Tamaris. We started with Ramesses Tamaris. I wanted to see what her effect is, how she works, and all that good stuff. One thing that you should know about this test is that if you look at my city, I have a wrong skin. I have a cavalry skin. It shouldn't be there. I was using cavalry for something else. Forgot to change the skin. You'll see in the next test, we fix that issue, and you'll see something very interesting happening, but we'll leave it there for now. We expected Ramesses to beat Richard and Charles and Richard. And the only thing that's a little weird is, like, you know, he doesn't have that big of a skill damage. And so I don't necessarily think that he's utilizing Tamaris' stacks as much as he could. But nonetheless, he's getting hit quite severely. That's a problem with archers. They're fairly squishy. And overall, I'm very curious to show you guys how this worked out, because we definitely took out Charles Richard, no problem. It is how it's supposed to be. But the results were really, really interesting. And in a moment, these guys will go down, and then we'll get to see what is going on in the report. All right, so our first report of this video took about what, 3 minutes and 18 seconds? 3 minutes and 18 seconds worth of a fight. And this is the report right here. Now, what we're gonna go over in this video is a little bit of the factors that I found that are interesting to look at. However, this is your time to let me know in the comments down below if there are other things you're interested to see in the reports. We are gonna make multiple videos, and this is the first one to be made. The future ones can be made with the additions of what you guys suggest in the comments. So let me know in the comments down below if there's anything you guys wanna see that you haven't seen or you haven't heard out of this report. And of course, make sure you're dropping likes on the video. This first report is interesting for 3 factors, very, very important ones. 20,000 heals compared to 10,000 by Ramesses is actually nuts. Richard heals all the time. That's what he does. Every time he procs a skill, he heals. And yet, Ramesses managed to heal him about halfway the same way. In the next few sets, once we reach Edward tests without Ramesses, you'll see the effect of this, but I don't want to skip too much ahead. For now, 20,000 heals against the 10,000 is actually nuts. He slowed down Richard like crazy, and you'll see why in a moment, and how much. The severely wounded were very interesting. It's almost a 2-for-1 trade, give or take plus minus. 41,000 surviving troops is a really decent number. But what I want to divert your attention into is the fact that we are rocking 164.5% archer attack, 115 archer defense, and 78% archer health. These are all expertised. Remember, 20,000 to 10,000 heals, about a 2-for-1 trade, 41,000 remaining, and about a 3-minute and 18-second rally hit. It's an important one to remember because you'll see the rest of the reports and see the comparisons. So this second attack is the same one. This is Ramesses and Tamaris with Charles Martel and Richard. This time I switched the skin, like you can see, so we'll have an extra 5% archer attack. And I wanted to see and show you guys how much of a difference that actually makes. A lot of folks see 5% and they're like, 5% doesn't sound that much. You guys will see in the report how much it makes a difference. In a few moments, you'll definitely get to see this. Again, Charles and Richard had no chance against the archers. Archers counter infantry. The fact that Tamaris is doing her thing in the back with Ramesses at the front doing the 2,000 damage and the archers doing massive, massive amount of work. We expect this march to melt every single time. But what we're looking at is the differences in the reports and kind of what kind of things we can learn out of the little changes and optimizations we do, as well as what other commanders we put behind Ramesses to see a little bit how this worked out. So this fight took a little bit. It was probably, it wasn't the longest one out of them all, but you'll see in a moment something super interesting about Ramesses, and it's one of the points I told you to remember about the skills. So here's the report, and this one actually lasted a little bit longer. Did it? 3 minutes and 33 seconds compared to the 3 minutes and roughly 18 seconds. How did that happen, you may ask? Well, the answer is right here. As you can see, on this second attack, the heals are 25% lower. What that means is, remember how I told you there was a 10% chance? This attack really didn't get that much of that chance going on. As a matter of fact, it was 25% less considering the healing amount. And so, how come the trades are so good? That is right. Take a peek really quickly at the screen. The heals are a bit lower, which is okay. It's expected. Our heals are a bit lower. We didn't hit the 10%, but we may or may not have hit that 10% attack. Again, we can go into the report, dig in to see how many times that happened. And if you really want that kind of analysis, let me know in the comments below. It will take time though, just so you know. If we go take a quick peek at the troop buffs, you'll see that we're indeed rocking more attack. That's right. We're rocking more attack, which is why this right there is kind of the same thing as this. We're looking at about the same amounts of losses and the same amount of kills, roughly. And the reason for that is we actually exchanged those 10% chance of attack increase and of defense increase with guaranteed percentage. This is one of the topics when it comes to equipment, which we'll touch about even further in a future video, that when you're talking about percentage-based stats, it's more luck than anything else. And so when you're looking at guaranteed stats versus luck stats, you can really see how even though we had 25% less luck on the one skill, maybe the attack skill we had a little bit more luck, the damage that was done was just as equal because of the lack of the extra 5% attack, and that's really what helped us out. And you can see we have much less remaining troops too because of the fact that we healed much less. The fight also lasted longer, which gave Richard the opportunity to heal a little bit more, but just like it gave Richard the opportunity to heal a little bit more, it looks like Ramesses procced his first skill quite a bit more, curiously enough, and it ended up holding the heals back. Pretty cool stuff so far. Let's go take a look at the next test real quick. So in this case, we have Charles Martel Richard against the Ramesses Yi Song-ye. As I mentioned to you guys, I wanted to try the diverse types of true commanders out there to do our best to see the different results of having Ramesses leading a charge against the same set of troops. It's 100,000 tier 5s, which I don't think I mentioned previously. These are 100,000 tier 5s each single test. Every single thing you see on reports are tier 5 severely wounded. And yes, I had to speed all those up at the end because this was right before Osiris League. So I'm hoping to see a lot of likes on this video for the sacrifice of speed ups to ensure that you guys get this content available. And there's going to be a lot more test videos. Again, if you want to see something different in these test videos, leave me a comment down below. We'll get through the first few ones first and then remake some things for you guys specifically based on your requests. Charles melting away. Looks like this fight is going to be quite more successful, and we'll see in a moment the report and understand a little bit better how it worked. So in this case, we had not this report, it was this one right here. Edward and no, whoa, time out. We have, sorry, I skipped one. Ramesses Yi Song-ye going up against Charles Martel and Richard. This fight was the shortest one of them all. It was under 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. And the results were quite interesting. 18,000 severely wounded compared to the 8,000. 7,800 heals means we got about the same amount of luck as last time. But look at the heals on Richard. Because the fight was shorter, Richard procced less times, which meant he healed less times. Very interesting stuff. It really boiled down his heals dramatically. And truthfully, our heals are not a ratio thing. They are 10% luck. It could have gone to 12,000 heals for us and 14,000 heals for him. It would have probably been less heals from him if we healed more because we'd have more troops fighting, which makes the fight shorter. What you really want to keep an eye on is the remaining troops. Almost more than half of our march survived. Very, very good result. And honestly, out of all of these tests, this pair right here took the cake for this video. There's another set of commanders that I did not test on this first run. The first 2 runs that I did, I forgot about doing 2 more extra tests, which we did in video 3 and 4. You'll see those come out. Spoiler alert, El Cid is nasty. That's right. You'll see in the video very, very soon. So again, looking at troop buffs real quick, we're still rocking now 129% archer attack. The reason for that, no more Tamaris in the March. And yet with less archer attack, same amount of defense, but a little bit more heals, only 1% health. We're doing pretty much the same thing. it goes to show how nasty Yi Seong-Ye's attack is, and quite frankly, this test doesn't do justice to this March. Because this March right here can be devastating in Arc of Osiris and KVK, where you're going to be hitting multiple marches with the area of effect of Yi Seong-Ye, where you're going to get much better bang for your buck. So this 1v1 test is primarily to show you the differences between these marches. Trust me when I tell you, stick that march in the middle of Arc of Osiris, next to the Arc, hit something in that cloud, and you're going to see amazing results. And if you target a healer or a tank, like Richards, which we've seen quite a bit in Osiris League in this past week, you're slowing down the heals, getting them out the field, and doing tons of AoE. Let's go look at the next test, and this one was a base test. I mentioned to you guys that I wanted to do a base test of the previous best troops that were out there for archers, and that was an attempt with Edward Tamaris, and we also did Edward Yi Seong-Ye. I wanted to have a comparison report for you to see how it looked before, how Edward Tamaris, Edward Yi Seong-Ye worked versus Ramesses Tamaris, Ramesses Yi Seong-Ye, so you guys can make a better choice and see a little bit better how these things worked out. Crazy enough, this was one of the longest fights. That's right, this was one of the longest fights in this whole thing, and I'm not too surprised. With Richard able to heal consistently, 2 seconds is a crazy amount, and potentially a little bit of less of that extra attack on the archers, which maybe there is a little bit more than that, maybe not. We were walking a good amount right here. You'll see in a moment how much we had on these tests, but Charles indeed melts. We expected that. The results, though, on the report are really interesting and really paint a story on few factors why Ramesses is so good, and probably after this video a few of you are gonna be very interested in investing in him. So looking at this Edward of Woodstock and Tamaris report, it's a 4 minute, sorry, not math, no good, 3 minutes 40 what 4 seconds, 3 minutes 44 seconds, almost 4 minute attack. It was the longest one of them. It was a lot. And look at this. First of all, let's focus on the first very important thing. 37,000 heals on Richard. We didn't see Richard cross the 21. In this March, he got 20. In this March, he got 19. And in here, he even went down to 14. And that was due to speed of the attack, which means less healing happening. Speed of the whole thing. But in here, he killed 37,000 troops. That is one of those differences that's going to be huge for it. Huge, huge, huge. Are you saying there was a little bit more damage in here? Not that significant. The trade-off is fairly even. I mean, they did do a little bit more severely wounded in here. We're looking at 168% attack, 116 defense, and the 80% health is maybe what did the trick in here. Expertise commanders all over the place. But honestly, look at the difference between this and this, and tell me which one had the better trade-off. You stopped him from healing, you got rid of them quicker, you had much more troops survive. 50,000 troops survived compared to the 36,000. That's what, 50% compared to 36%, 14% more of your march survives? Ramesses is tanky AF. He's holding well, and he's holding well because he's also healing. If he had healed the 7,000 troops potentially, or even 10,000 troops in here, we might have seen more remaining troops, but there's no heals, which means you're tanking less. Let's go look at the final test and then wrap this up and show you everything and talk about a few other talk points. So this final test was Edward and Yi Seong-Ye. As I mentioned to you guys, this was another base test. At this point, Jazz was taking a beating. Poor guy. I appreciate you, Jazz, very much for all the severely wounded you took. I'm fairly confident he also had to spend speed ups to heal. So massive shout out to Jazz for spending his troops speed ups and resources to help me out. I actually wasn't that nice, and I should have probably offered resources. I will go back and offer him some resources for his heals because he healed a stupid amount of troops. In this case, Edward Yi Seong-Ye once more doesn't get enough of a justice for what it does. Edward, anywhere you put a Yi Seong-Gye in general, much better when there's many more targets on the field around. While you're targeting one, you're destroying the rest of them along the way. In here, though, it took this a little bit. As a matter of fact, I mentioned that our last one was the longest fight of them all. This one was. Of course, Yi Seong-Gye does a lot of damage with his AoE, but he doesn't do that much that when you put a Tamaris with Edward, Tamaris enhances Edward so much that he does much more damage with her than with a Yi Seong-Gye. You want to put a Yi Seong-Gye when you have more targets around, for sure. But if you're looking at a 1v1 scenario or even a rally scenario, that Tamaris enhances Edward a lot more than Yi Seong-Gye does. And that is reflected very clearly in the report. A 4 minute and 4 second attack. That was a 4 minute and 4 second long attack. And here it goes. The worst severely wounded straight off I've seen. The most heals Richard ever did. Remind you, you see that 40,000 right there? He never crossed the 21 in here with Ramesses. Yeah. These tests might be super basic, it might be super simple and not in depth as to all the things that you guys want to see. And again, let me know in the comments down below what more you want to see. But this gives me some very conclusive data. It shows me that Edward Tamaris obviously was the better pair. That Ramesses definitely takes Richard down when it comes to the healing department of it. But is this enough to say Ramesses is the big next thing? On the next video, we're going to test him out against a Khan and Saladin. Now, the idea behind a Khan Saladin is they exist in the game for much longer. The likelihood of more people having them is greater. A lot of folks still use Khan. He's very viable. A Khan Saladin is a combo of death that still is out there. And I really wanted to show how that worked against a Ramesses. That pair doesn't have healing, so an expertise of Ramesses is less efficient because there's no healing to stop. However, those results also show something very interesting, and that video should be coming out tomorrow, hopefully, if I don't procrastinate like I did this one. I'm not gonna lie to you. But anyway, for now, the conclusions are very simple. The slowdown of heal is stupendously good. The unfortunate truth is that there's 10% chances involved, and so some tests will do better than others, some attacks will do better than others, and in a very close match, that 10% chance can be the difference between life and death. And the fact that the trade-offs are so good to the point where even Edward Yi Seong-Gye, Edward Tamaris are keeping it keeps up with the same kinds of trade-offs is a really amazing result. And truthfully, I'm very happy with this Ramesses, and you'll see why in the next video with tests of him. For now, I'm Gekko. I'm out of here. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoy it, drop likes on the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments down below what kind of tests you're looking to see more. Any other types of troops and commander pairings you want to see. What else you want me to go into more depth in the reports and things like that. We went on an overview just to give you guys a more basic understanding on why this guy is so good, but we can go into more depth if that's what you want. Let me know in the comments down below. I appreciate all your support, and I appreciate you guys being always there. Thank you very much for all the kind messages about the Osiris League match yesterday. We are finally on the top 4, going for Osiris Invitational. Next week, we take on HKL. It's going to be a very fun match. I'll see you guys sooner rather than later. Take care and have a good one. Peace.